Welcome to our deep dive into some of the most significant conflicts in human history. Now, I know what you're thinking, history, wars, haven't we heard all this before? But trust me, we're going to dig deep into the bloody soil of the past, uncovering the stories, the sacrifices, the sheer scale of destruction that shaped the world we know. Today we'll explore 4 major wars that have left an indelible mark on the world. Wars so impactful they echo through the ages, whispering warnings and lessons from beyond the grave. We're not just talking about dates and names here, though we'll get into those too. No, we're talking about the human cost, the ripple effects, the way these conflicts redrew the map of civilization. So buckle up, because we're about to embark on a journey through time, across battlefields littered with the wreckage of empires. Get ready to see the world anew, stained with the blood of millions, forged in the fires of unimaginable violence. This is Hardcore History Nadwubishe style. Imagine Europe in the early 20th century. It's a powder keg of nationalism, imperialism, and tangled alliances, all primed for a spark. That spark, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in Sarajevo, ignites the fuse and the world explodes. Suddenly, it's 1914, and millions are marching off to war, led by men who still believe in the glory of battle, who talk of a swift and decisive victory. Oh, how wrong they were. Instead of quick victories, what emerges is a new kind of war, a terrifying industrialized meat grinder.
Millions find themselves trapped in the trenches, a muddy, rat-infested labyrinth stretching across the face of Europe. Picture this: constant artillery bombardments that turn the earth itself into a weapon, waves of men going over the top, charging into a hail of machine gun fire. The casualties are staggering, unimaginable for a generation raised on stories of valor and heroism.
And the technology, the technology. This is the war that birthed the horrors of chemical warfare, where poison gas becomes a weapon, choking the life out of men in the trenches. We see the introduction of tanks, lumbering metal beasts meant to break the stalemate, but at a horrific cost. Years bleed into years, the stalemate dragging on. The world is transformed into a charnel house, consuming an entire generation. Finally, after 4 long years, exhaustion sets in. Germany, battered and broken, agrees to an armistice. The guns fall silent, but the Treaty of Versailles, meant to ensure peace, sows the seeds for future conflict. The stage is set for a future, even more horrific war. A conflict that will make the horrors of the first pale in comparison, but that's a story for another time. Barely 2 decades after the supposed war to end all wars, the world finds itself teetering once again on the precipice of global conflict. The Treaty of Versailles, meant to prevent another war, instead becomes fertile ground for resentment and extremism.
In Germany, a charismatic demagogue named Adolf Hitler rises to power, promising to restore his nation's lost glory and exact revenge on those he blames for its humiliation. The world, weary from the last war, watches with a mixture of apprehension and apathy.
Then, in 1939, Hitler unleashes the full fury of the German war machine upon Poland. The world watches in horror as the Nazi blitzkrieg, a terrifying display of mechanized warfare, sweeps across Europe, crushing all resistance in its path. This is a war of ideologies, a clash of civilizations. On one side, the Axis powers, led by Nazi Germany, driven by a toxic ideology of racial supremacy and territorial expansion. On the other, the Allies, a coalition of nations, great and small, united in their determination to stop the Nazi war machine.
From the frozen wastes of the Eastern Front, where the Red Army clashes with the Wehrmacht in a battle for survival, to the beaches of Normandy, where Allied forces storm ashore in the largest amphibious invasion in history, the world becomes a battleground.
And then, the unthinkable. In 1945, the United States, in a desperate bid to end the bloodshed, unleashes a terrifying new weapon upon the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the atomic bomb. The world watches in horror as the mushroom cloud rises, ushering in the terrifying age of nuclear weapons. World War II ends with the unconditional surrender of the Axis powers, leaving a world in ruins, tens of millions dead, and a chilling question hanging in the air. What have we become? From the ashes of this global conflict, a new world order emerges, one dominated by 2 superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, locked in a Cold War rivalry that will define the latter half of the 20th century. Chapter 3. Punic Wars, Rome versus Carthage, a clash of titans. Let's turn the clock back now, far back, to a time before the Roman Empire, to a time when a North African city-state called Carthage challenged the might of an ambitious rising Rome. Imagine, if you will, the Mediterranean Sea, a vast, sparkling expanse, but also a battleground.
For over a century, these two powers, Rome and Carthage, locked horns in a series of titanic struggles for dominance. These were no border skirmishes. No, these were wars of annihilation, wars fought on land and sea, wars that would decide the fate of the Mediterranean world. The stakes? Nothing less than control of the Mediterranean, its trade routes, its riches.
Think of Hannibal, the brilliant Carthaginian general who dared to challenge Rome on its own soil, leading his army, complete with elephants, across the Pyrenees and the Alps, a feat of military logistics that still boggles the mind. Picture the terror of Roman citizens as Hannibal's forces rampaged through the Italian countryside, inflicting defeat after defeat on Roman legions.
But Rome was not finished. The Roman spirit, that indomitable will, could not be broken so easily. Rome rebuilt its armies, adapted its tactics, and struck back with a vengeance. Think of Scipio Africanus, the Roman general who dared to challenge Hannibal himself, finally defeating the Carthaginian legend on the plains of Zama.
The Punic Wars, these epic clashes between Rome and Carthage, were more than just military campaigns. They were clashes of cultures, of ways of life. Rome, the rising land power, pitted against Carthage, the maritime superpower. In the end, Rome emerged victorious, but at a terrible cost. Carthage, once a thriving metropolis, was utterly destroyed, its people scattered, its culture erased.
The Punic Wars serve as a stark reminder of the brutal realities of ancient warfare, a testament to the enduring power of the Roman war machine.
Chapter 4, The Crusades, Holy Wars, Unholy Acts. Now let's journey to the Middle Ages, a time of knights and castles, of piety and bloodshed. A time when the cry of Deus vult, God wills it, echoed across Europe, igniting a series of religious wars known as the Crusades.
Imagine a Europe gripped by religious fervor, where popes call for the liberation of the Holy Land from Muslim control. Picture tens of thousands of people, from peasants to kings, heeding the call, taking up arms, and embarking on a perilous journey to the east. Think of the First Crusade, a ragtag army of European crusaders driven by faith and a thirst for glory, marching across hostile lands, enduring disease, starvation, and constant attacks to capture Jerusalem in 1099. The streets ran red with blood, a massacre that shocked even the victors.
But the Crusades were more than just religious pilgrimages. They were also exercises in raw power, greed, and ambition. Think of the Fourth Crusade, hijacked by Venetian merchants and diverted to Constantinople, the jewel of the Byzantine Empire. Instead of liberating the Holy Land, these crusaders sacked the city, an act of barbarism that shocked the Christian world.
The Crusades were a complex tapestry of faith, violence, and cultural exchange. They left an indelible mark on the relationship between East and West, a legacy of mistrust and resentment that still resonates today.
These conflicts, though separated by centuries, have all played crucial roles in shaping the geopolitical landscape of their times and beyond. From the trenches of World War I to the atomic horrors of World War II, from the clash of empires in the Punic Wars to the religious fervor of the Crusades, we've seen how these wars have reshaped maps, toppled empires, and redefined the course of human history. We've seen the cost of conflict, the millions upon millions who have perished on battlefields across the ages. We've witnessed the horrors of war, the brutality, the senselessness of it all, but perhaps, just perhaps, by studying these conflicts, by understanding the forces that drove them, we can learn from the mistakes of the past and strive to create a future where the drums of war are silenced forever. Or maybe, just maybe, that's just a naive historian's dream. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more historical insights.